Joining me now is Jasmine Davenport. She is a climate scientist and executive director of the group Our Climate. Welcome, welcome, Jasmine. Okay, I want to start with a quick refresher, frankly. So President Biden, he recently announced executive actions for folks that don't know, and these actions were surrounding the climate crisis. It included billions in funding to boost community readiness for climate emergencies. It included guidance to lower cooling costs for homes in low-income areas and efforts to expand wind power areas into the Gulf of Mexico. So, Jasmine, to you, my question is, what is the practical impact of these actions that the president has taken?
Yeah, thank you so much, Simone, for having me today. Practical impact is going to be jobs. You know, that's the number one thing that we are going to be able to see first and foremost. Secondly, we're going to start to see a change in our infrastructure. But quite frankly, I would say that this is just a start. We have so much more to go. And that is really where me and others in the climate justice movement would like to see.
I mean, I've been hearing about it for weeks now. And let's just be honest, the president cannot executive order us out of the climate crisis, right? There's real work that has to be done. Congress has a role to play here. So what further, though, executive action would you like to see taken, given the fact that the United States Senate doesn't seem to be poised to move anytime soon?
Yeah, I think it first starts with declaring a climate emergency. This is something that should have been done a long time ago, even before President Biden became president. But we are here, we are now.
Jasmine, what would the climate emergency entail? Like, why is that important for folks who don't know?
Yeah. So a climate emergency, this is going to get everyone on board across industries, across communities, letting everyone know that climate change is here and it's not going away. So it is important that we are making sure that we are implementing on all levels of government ways to make sure that we are resilient towards climate disasters. We're putting plans into place that are going to repair coastal communities that have been heavily burdened by rising sea levels, by hurricanes. In the West, the raging wildfires. These are things that we need to be able to see and that we need to work on. And it has to start from the top. We do need a climate emergency declared in the United States.
So a climate emergency declaration. Now, I talked with Ali Zaidi from the White House, who is one of the climate gurus over at the White House earlier this month. And a climate emergency was not one of the things on the list. Now, I do know that the White House has said that the president wants to do what he can and work with Congress before he declares an emergency. What do you say to that?
I would say that regardless of if a climate emergency is ever declared or not, everyone in the United States and around the world needs to act. You need to put your foot forward. You need to work with local nonprofits and communities to be able to accommodate the climate crisis. We need to make sure that we are resilient. The climate crisis is not waiting on us to declare a climate emergency. We're too late for that. So we have to make sure that we are implementing jobs in our communities. We're investing directly into those frontline communities that have been heavily impacted. We have to make sure that we're educating our young people on climate change. This is something that younger generations are going to live with constantly. You and me, when we're gone, our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, nephews, this is something that they are going to be living with first and foremost. And lastly, I would say that we need to make sure that we're bringing this sociocultural perspective to climate change.
What do you mean there, Jasmine? Break it down now. Make it plain.
Make it plain. So is it hot enough for you right now, Simone? And I'm asking you that question because think of the mamas who are out here and they have kids with asthma. So you have kids with asthma that are out here in this heat. They want to play. They want to play with their friends. It's summertime. But we have to have a sociocultural perspective when we solve climate change. It's not just going to be signing some legislation into place. We have to know that climate change is affecting each and every one of us on every level, from our socioeconomic status to what job we have, to our health, to what housing we live in. Is it sustainable housing? Is it affordable, low-cost housing? Do we make sure that we're implementing renewable energy in our houses? What's the education system like? Are food deserts being addressed? This is the sociocultural perspective that we have got to have. And if we don't start there and make sure that we're thinking of just solutions, then we're not truly going to solve the climate crisis.
Well, Jasmine, I could talk about this with you all day long. But my final question to you today is this. There are people out there who feel that this crisis is just insurmountable. There are folks who have accepted the world as doomed, and they see mobilization pointless. And so give us some hope. Where is the hope here? And what do you say to those folks that that's their outlook right now?
So I come from a long line of resilient people, as do you, Simone. We come from Black people. They were brought over in chains and they built up this country. And so we know that we can be resilient. Every great social justice movement started on the community level. We know this for a fact. We can make change be impactful. So I would challenge each and every one of you out there to, instead of thinking of doom and despair, to actually think in a hopeful manner to what are your dreams? You know, Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream. Well, now that dream is so much bigger than even what he said. And so we have to think about what is a just future for all of us? How are we making sure that this environment is an environment that we as human beings can thrive? I would challenge each and every one of you to make sure you are getting involved on the local level. Go volunteer. Go educate yourself by reading a newspaper. Go make sure that you're voting. But then don't stop at voting, because that's where your civic duty starts. Hold our elected officials accountable. Get involved with the process. Go to those city council meetings. There is hope out there. We just have to make sure that they're centered in justice.
All right, Jasmine Davenport, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you.